Upon the edge of the moonlight's foggy veil, where shadows wove their mournful tale, an angel wandered, pale and bedight, its heart a hymn, its pure halo a beacon of light. An approaching demon struts in midnight's cold, its gaze as sharp as slivered gold. Yet when in silence their eyes met, the stars conspired and the fates were set. No trumpet sounded, no hellfire roared, just quiet hearts, a tender warmth to be explored. The angel spoke with a harp-like tone. Is love not ours, even though seeds have grown? For humans burn with fleeting fire, their mortal spark is my sole desire. O child of light, the demon mused, why stand here with me where hope is bruised, where your wings will shrivel, pale as frost, within the dark where defiant feathers are lost? The blue-eyed angel looked at the demon with a sigh. I seek no haven in the sky, for there the heavens' pious ways has my heart bound in divine chains. But in your scalding fire an oddity remains, a warmth that eases the holiest of pains. Though you are born from the sable night, within your dark I see a curious light. The demon smirked, its laughter mocking and low. Beware, sweet angel, for what you sow, for love between such heart as these is like poison in the apple that grows on the tree. Still the angel reached for the demon's gaunt hand bare, to graze the dark, to feel the air. And as their touch set flame the night, the world seemed to dissolve into soaring light. The sky grew silent, stars burned dim, as gods looked down with faces grim. But even they, with their rage combined, could not unmake the love entwined. We're both frail and flawed now, much like them, the demon began, but these brief things, oh, the strength their sorrow brings. Through shadowed trees, living through their divine disgrace, the angel and the demon began to stroll under the moonlight's embrace. The misty clouds acted as her shroud, discussing their exile, outcasts, forever earthbound. They love as though the world may end, the angel mused. Their wills they bend to carry their love on in fleeting hours, defying death with the seeds of blooming flowers. So they forever walked through the lands and time, an angel's light, a demon's spite, for in their hearts they saw it clear, that love is born when loss and death are near. That was my poem, Seraphs, and I based my poem off of the literature and the authors of the Romantic period. I heavily look up to writers like Emily Dickinson, Edgar Allan Poe, and that whole crowd, so I had a lot of fun writing this poem and also working on it outside of class. Many texts, such as The Conqueror Worm by Edgar Allan Poe, The Raven, also by Poe, Good Omens, The Nice and Accurate Prophecies of Agnes Nutter by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman, and the songwriting of musician Ethel Cain inspired my poem. I've always been a big fan of religious references in literature and the natural poetic tones of specifically Christianity. I've always thought it was beautiful, and many people, Christian or not, will agree that the Bible is one of the most influential pieces of literature the world has ever seen. And what better way to make metaphors and references than the most influential piece of literature ever? And I wanted to mix that symbolism, which symbolism is very popular in romantic literature, with a story from an outside perspective of humans and the innocence and purity of mankind. Romantic authors really make a point to express their values of imagination, individualism/solitude, the natural innocence in our hearts, nature, and complex emotions. And so I, of course, had to include that into my poetry because those ideals are what really set romantic literature apart from the other writings and other movements. The plot and storyline is heavily inspired by one of my favorite books and show adaptations, Good Omens, the Nice and Accurate Prophecies of Agnes Nutter by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman, or Good Omens for short if you don't want to say a paragraph every time you reference it. Good Omens is a comedic novel later turned into a TV show that tells the story of an angel and a demon trying to stop the end of the world, and their friendship slowly develops into a romantic companionship over the 6,000 years they've known each other. Wonderful story, makes me cry every time I rewatch it. It is one of my favorite books of all time. The thing I love the most about it is the vast point of view of the world from the two supernatural entities. And yet, even though they are celestial beings, there's a certain kind of humanity and imagination that grows within them, and that I think is really beautiful. Throughout my poem, I make references to purity, complex emotions, and freedom of thought, which are all very important ideals of romantic authors and artists. And I use The Conqueror Worm by Edgar Allan Poe as one of my main inspirations for angelic descriptions, where the angels are weeping for the misery of humanity. Unlike that amazing poem, my story talks about the beauty and the innocence of humanity, rather than despair. And the angel and the demon are almost like jealous of humankind's fiery passion, and their passion even after death as well. They even discuss human desire as, quote, their sole desire, end quote. And my favorite stanza in my poem is, the demon smirked its laughter mocking and low. Beware, sweet angel, for what you sow, for love between such heart as these is like poison in the apple that grows on the tree. Did you catch it? Oh, just me throwing in my favorite poetic symbol of all time, the sinful apple in the Garden of Eden. The love, temptation, and yet purity of the apple is one of the oldest and most profound symbols in all of literature and art, a representation of nature and the love that grows in nature. The worship of nature as its own being, and also a popular ideal of the Romantic era. And the earth growing a fruit that personifies human emotion is just so poetic and brilliant, I just had to include it in my poem. My poem ends with the angel and the demon discussing the courage and the beauty in the human race's souls, and even though we are mortal, and that even after death we still carry a love on for each other through the celebration of life, hence the flowers like grave flowers and memorial flowers. A quote that also inspired this line was, quote, from my rotting body flowers shall grow, and I am in them, and that is eternity, said by Edvard Munch, which is also one of my favorite quotes of all time. At the end, the angel and the demon walk through history and time, and they realize quickly that when death and darkness comes to human, love always prevails in the end and in the afterlife.